again, welcome back. Today it's basically a follow-up to what I did a few weeks ago, the Exploitation series, which was about documentaries about exploitation films. So this is another one. The first ones were basically by Mark Hartley. These ones are made by Callum Waddell with Naomi Hollowell. So these are more horror based. So these are not really released as individual documentaries. Usually these are released within part of a Blu-ray or a DVD, but some are released individually. So you get individual releases like American Grindhouse, which here is in double bill with Nightmares in Red, White and Blue, which Waddell didn't do, right? You also get Slice and Dice about the horror movies. But there's also films that are released as part of they're like sometimes like an hour long, an hour 10 minutes long, but they're released as part of the actual film release of something. So Tenebrae here has a documentary by Waddell about it's called Yellow Fever, and it's all about the Giallo movement. Zombie Flesh Eaters has a documentary by Waddell about the Italian zombie craze. And this one, I'm not going to try and pronounce this one. No way. This one's got 42nd Street Memories, the rise and fall of the 42nd Street block, which is a notorious block in New York, where a lot of the exploitation films played. So you get a decent range of films here. There's also other films I've seen on early Arrow films and 88 films and things that he's made that come out and are released as part of those release of the films themselves. So if you're into the like Arrow films or 88 films and things like that, like exploitation distributors and Blu-ray, you'll know Waddell's films quite a bit probably. You've probably seen a few of them. So I'd seen enough, I thought it was quite good to talk about because there's quite a few interesting films here to discuss. So I'll start with the American Grindhouse and the 42nd Street, which is on this disc. These are really fun movies. These are one of my favourite of his actually, because they're actually the most off track compared to some of these other films which are more focused on the genres, but these ones just focus on how the films were seen. Like Grindhouse, both of these documentaries actually cover a lot of the same interview subjects. Like 42nd Street's part of Grindhouse as a subject, but it's not the subject. But there's a lot of the interviews were obviously on at the same time, and a lot of the same people talking about it. But like Grindhouse covers the entirety of the Grindhouse experience of how did Grindhouse start, how did it develop, how did it end? Because it ended basically because of the VHS boom, where all the Grindhouse films that were big and popular suddenly could be seen in your home, you know, which is the same problem that the exploitation movies had, where you'd have to go out and see these films. So you'd go to all these like dumps to see these films, and then you can see them at home. It's like you don't have to go out to these like sordid places where God knows what's happening to see a film you want to see. You can just rent it, you know. So the people that became the big the people who went to the 42nd Street would now be watching films that would become like video nasties. See my video nasties because that's this could be a prequel. This is a disappointing prequel to Video Nasties in some way. But not as disappointing, these are great documentaries, but you know what I mean, it's like prequels are disappointing. But that was this bit earlier generation, you know, that's the best way to do it. That would go and see these films. So the Grindhouse is terrific. I definitely recommend seeing American Grindhouse because it just spreads throughout the period and tells you how it rose. Because I mean, a lot of it's been like they had Grindhouse all the time. There's never not been Grindhouse, even when there's when you didn't think there was. I mean, there was always like the cheapies, even in the 30s, 1920s, 1930s, there was always cheapy, like non-studio films that would make up the glut of releases every year, because there's only so many films studios would make. But there's always actors around who could be hired, like Bela Lugosi or somebody, for these cheapies that could be made for almost nothing and put out in like cheap cinemas where they don't charge as much, and you still get money off them. And the print would go and go and go and go, and they all become like horrible. You know, it just become very tacky and horrible looking after much use. But people would get their money back doing that. So this has gone on for so long. You've had like I mean, what's that one of the drug thing? I cannot remember. Reefer Madness. Something like that. That's exploitation. That's like exploiting your fear of drugs of the youth. You had like 50s movies about rock and roll, exploiting people's fear of rock and roll. So you had all these rock and roll movies. Like you could either say that they're simply exploitation, they're warning against the dangers of this, but they're still showing enough of that anyway as well, so you get the audience in, and they'd have to listen to a sermon to get the fun. And you'd have lots of other ones warning about drugs and warning about prostitution or whatever, and you'd have enough of the actual real stuff to get the people into the cinema, but you'd also pass the censors by saying it's against all these horrible things in society. So the Grindhouse kept going from early. It was always going, and it kept on moving through the era. So AIP, which is exploitation, maybe a bit higher budget exploitation, because they had a central hub of people financing the films, and Roger Corman doing a lot of them as well, and he did his own ones, but they were still exploitation Grindhouse films. So this film covers, American Grindhouse covers that whole era from the 30s all the way to the end, and it discusses where they were showing, like drive-ins, like the dive theatres that were used to be big but have fallen into disrepute, so they would never get re-renovated, but people would still go and see them, so you could charge low prices to see these films after they've had the big release, and you could still go and see them in these low rent theatres, where a lot of drug addicts would go, a lot of homeless people would go, a lot of people would go and have sex in the theatres. And that was the subject of the 42nd Street, which is on this one, which is the main special feature on this one, and it's I'm showing you because it's worth buying just for the feature with 42nd Street, because it's a wonderful look at one sleazy block in New York, where you people like Joe Dante talking about it, because he used to go there, and there's all these other directors, like the guy who made Maniac, William Lustig. And there's lots of people, Frank Henlotter, who did Basket Case, talking about their times there, about going there and watching films and end up making films there, because how they were influencing films like Taxi Driver, because a lot of the porn theatres that were shown in Taxi Driver were 42nd Street. I mean, that was just a total sleaze place with utter sleaze. And you'd have like different theatres showing different things, exploitation, porn, everything. Everything was available. People would just go there. And again, it would get wiped out by the VHS craze. I just destroyed it. But before that, and then of course there was a identification of it and cut down in crime, cut down in sleaze. So all those theatres were closed and destroyed. But this film looks at the high points and low points, and all the drugs and all the, bad behaviour and dysfunctional behaviour, and how a lot of people just went crazy there and just that was the safe place for lots of people who were having problems in their life. So but the big joke was, do not look down and see what you're standing on, because you probably won't like it in any of these theatres. So apparently they were really grungy, because there literally were people sometimes, Joe Dante was saying, but sometimes you hear people having sex while you were watching the film. So that must be interesting to watch a film with that as a background noise. So it's really worth seeing, really enjoyable watch. So I recommend those two as terrific documentaries on film going experience within exploitation. zombie flesh eaters, the one you have in here, is the Italian, covering the Italian zombie craze. It's a really good documentary. I am not that interested in the Italian zombie craze, to be honest, but the documentary kept me interested. I mean, you have people like Kim Newman in it, talking about the films. You have lots of different people who were there and who knew, actors who were there. It's a wonderful film about how the Italians took what was a small craze in America. Basically, George Romero made Night of the Living Dead, and then years later he made Dawn of the Dead. Because Dawn of the Dead was partly financed Italian by Dario Argento, suddenly the Italian exploitation producers suddenly saw, oh, that's going to be a hit. When Dawn of the Dead was getting made, there was other zombie films getting made, and then when it became a hit, everybody was making zombie films. So there's lots of films that were either in development or being made around about Dawn of the Dead, and a lot of them were trash, but there's a lot of really weird ones coming out, and it was just like this flood. If you know anything about Italian genre movies, it's just a flood where one kind of film becomes popular, then they make tons of them until that's burnt out. Then everyone else becomes popular and make films like that. So you'd have like these like Hercules movies, because it's the sort of standard movies from America. Then Sergio Leone made spaghetti westerns, so some of the Italians could see they can make their own westerns, and there's tons of them. And we got to see all the good ones. And there was a lot of good ones, because Italy was also coming out of the Mussolini era of like fascism, so there's lots of political directors who could use the westerns as a metaphor for like fascism. You know, I really love like Italian like spaghetti westerns made by Marxist directors, because they're all fascinating and weird, and you know, they're hiding a political message very deeply within it, but it's always wonderful, because it is so anti-capitalist without because they can't really promote Marxism, but they can be very critical of capitalism, so they can really go to town on the capitalists and really have a lot of fun just ripping into like some real right-wing linnies. So it is really enjoyable to watch a lot of these films, and they're all very cynical about life generally, and about, you know, the way the world works. So you had them, sorry about that diversion. Then you had like crime films, because suddenly crime films became big in America, and you had all these Italian crime films, which I covered last week, 2 of them at least. Then you got like the sci-fi movies, you had stuff like Star Crash. You also got horror movies like Dawn of the Dead and Alien, so you got Alien rip-offs like Contamination, and you get all these zombie films. And this documentary covers the zombie period of that. You know, there's also cannibal movies coming out at the same time. There was just tons of movies where people are going to get eaten. I mean, any actor involved in any of these films, a good chance they're going to die and get eaten somewhere. Of course, it ends up being a film called Snuff being released. That was made in South America. Basically taking a failed exploitation movie and adding more gore to it. So, I mean, that's the craze, and then all these films hit VHS, and in the UK they were all banned. They became the reason for the video nasty bill. So I like the Italian horror movie, the Italian zombie movie, for the impact it caused more than the actual films themselves, because I'm not really a zombie fan, but it was quite interesting to watch documentaries about the situation. Okay, next is the documentary Yellow Fever on Tenebrae. This is the American release of Tenebrae. Synapse Films released it. It's very good. I mean, it's a nice print. Maitland McDonald does the commentary in Tenebrae. I've got 2 copies of Tenebrae in Blu-ray. I've another copy in DVD. All of them which have different extras, which is the reason why I've got lots of different versions. They're all good extras, so you kind of want all the copies. Right, but Yellow Fever is a pretty good look at the Giallo genre. I think it focuses too much in, because it's about Argento's, it's released in Tenebrae, so it focuses a lot on Argento, probably more than I wanted, because I was really interested in all the weird ones. Because I mean, Giallo was a crime. The one genre I didn't mention was talking about the Italian genre, because it came through the 70s, was mixed with crime, and it kind of took us up to the slasher movies and the zombie movies of the Italian sort of industry. There was lots of Giallo for a while, and this takes up and shows you with influences like Mario Bava. Then you had Argento taking that and really flowering with it. Then you had a lot of other imitators who were doing different things. There was lots of like really cool Giallo. I mean, I love Giallo. Giallo's my favourite. Apart from the spaghetti westerns, it's probably my favourite of the genre films from Italy. You know, with crime films being a close third. I mean, those three genres are the three I really like. And Giallo, I was hoping just for more from this documentary of the other directors. He got them, but I wanted more. It felt too much like Argento was the one leading it. He was a genius of that genre. And he made a lot of the great films, the genuinely great films. But the one thing with this documentary was I wish I'd seen a bit more of some of the other directors like Sergio Martino. A bit more on him would have been good. Some of the weirder, smaller films were covered, but not in the detail I was hoping for. But it's still a very good documentary. It's still really worth seeing. As part of this, as part of Tenebrae Blu-ray, it's really good because the Blu-ray is terrific as well. But of all the films, that was one that disappointed me most, because I really wanted to see a big documentary on the entire genre. I mean, you got to see, there was nice things about the influence of it, of films like Amer and things like that. There's lots of good stuff. You know, people like Kim Newman talking about it, but I really wish we got a lot more about some of the other directors, or just more of them. Not, I mean, they were covered, but I don't think they were covered in the same depth as I was hoping for. I mean, you get a lot of Sergio Martino stuff on the early Arrow releases that Callum Waddell made, like Tenebrae and Bird with Traditional Plumage and stuff. The earlier releases, you got a lot of stuff in him. But I would have liked to see more of that in the actual Giallo documentary. But it's still a very good documentary, still worth seeing. You get a lot about the basics of the genre. But it is important to do, I think, it should have been longer. I think it could have done with being an extra 20 minutes longer. You could have padded them out a bit more and given more of those details. I think it was just, it seemed to be cut down a bit too much. And there was more meat there that could have been explored. I think that's more the problem rather than the execution. I think it was just like, we needed more, just a bit longer running time. The final one is Slice and Dice. I'm not really, it's a good documentary, but it's you also get a look at backwards films as well. There's a second disc, don't go into the backwards. So you get two different films here, two different films. They're both good, but they are covering, you know, something's covered before. I mean, Slice and Dice covers the same area as Road to Pieces, which is also a good film. I saw this one before, Slice and Dice. They are covering the same area of horror. You've also got American Nightmare, which also covers the same area. In some ways it's too big an area to really cover. You're just doing the pieces like post-Psycho horror, basically. You're getting Psycho, Night of the Living Dead, Cronenberg, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, Friday the 13th, 80s slasher, The Thing. It's that thing where you're hitting all the points of the genre. Specifically in this one, it's Slice and Dice. But really, I mean, this one's more focused now, but any horror documentary has that kind of pattern. And then it's like, okay, what genre are we doing? So we'll just cover these certain films and we'll mention these other ones. And then the other documentaries focus on someone else. We'll focus on the ones that were just mentioned in the other documentary and then mention the ones, you know what I mean? It's like, it's almost like there's a pattern and you just cover the ones that are more pertinent to what you're doing documentary on. But anything post-psycho. A lot of those documentaries do feel the same, and this one doesn't really get beyond that either. It feels the same too, but it's still enjoyable. It's just like stuff like the Giallo or the Italian horror or the 42nd Street. They feel like they're subjects that are really interesting and really unique, and no one's really been doing that. And the slice and dice one, it feels like, yeah, I've seen this before. It's not unique in any way. It's well made, but it's not unique, you know. And I still think American Nightmare is the best one of that, about the overview of horror, which you can get in the Last House on the Left DVD. That's the one to really see for that kind of overview of horror post like Night of the Living Dead and the Vietnam era and stuff like that. But those are good, but it's just I'm not really a slasher movie fan either. I mean, I enjoy some of them, but I'm not like, they weren't really my kind of thing. I mean, I've seen the Friday the 13th movies, I've seen Nightmare on Elm Street films, I've seen the Halloween films, but I'd rather watch, there's lots of other films I'd rather watch. So a few other documentaries I'll mention very quickly that are available in the genre that aren't Callum Waddell ones. You have Crystal Lake Memories, which is all the Friday the 13th series all the way through. It's quite good fun. I mean, it just takes you into the problems of the films and how they developed and the rise and fall. I mean, it's quite enjoyable. The interview subjects are good. Again, they're doing a subject that's not inherently a fascinating series. It's a fun series, but they managed to do a lot just between the actors and discussing what happened. But the funny thing about that documentary is just you're realising it's a documentary about a film series without many good ideas. So it's more of the people involved in the personalities rather than what was the idea behind it all. There's another one about Never Sleep Again, about Nightmare on Elm Street, which is a better documentary. It's shorter and there's more to chew on in that one. The ideas are better in these films, and there's great, in that series there's greater highs and greater lows than Friday the 13th, so it's more interesting to watch. So that one I'd definitely recommend. But those are just two. I'm not even going to do videos on those two, so I thought I'd just mention them here. So I'm not sure I've got any more like documentaries and film to cover in the exploitation area at the moment. I'm sure I'll be keeping my eye out for more, and if I get some more I'll probably do some more on them. But it won't be the last time I'll cover exploitation movies. I'll still be doing some of them once in a while. It's just that's my documentary phase over for now. So I hope you enjoyed this. The last video of the week, and I'll see you next week.